new year, new stuff happening. Have you checked your credit lately? It's seriously something you should know about, whether you're buying something or just to know about it. Well, we have some special guests in the studio today. We're going to talk about credit. We have Ben, the branch manager from Barneveld, from the People's Community Bank location in Barneveld. Hi, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing good. So it is a Friday. Is that good for you guys? Or do you work do you guys work 7 days a week? Sometimes.
Sometimes. Sometimes it feels like that.
It does, doesn't it? You have the day off, but yet you're still in the mind thinking of all the things you have to do to get caught up or to keep everybody happy and get the business done, right?
Absolutely.
And that's kind of a nice thing because you guys are always working for your customers that way.
That's true.
That actually kind of correlates into credit too, because you're helping your customers with credit.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, a lot of people hear credit and they know what we're talking about, but there's a lot of people who could probably use some tips on credit, right? Or maybe get some more details. Times change, credit changes, things in your life change that affect your credit. So many different things about credit. What exactly, if somebody were to say, Ben, what is credit? What would you tell them?
Yeah, so credit really is just the ability of a consumer to acquire goods or services prior to payment with a faith that that payment will be made in the future. So I tend to think of you buy it now and you pay it later.
Yeah, that would be your credit. So some people will have better credit than others, right?
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
It does make a difference in your buying power.
It does.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other things that, having a good credit score can also help out, as well as having a bad credit score, can hinder you.
This is true. What are some of the things that can help you with immensely in life? Yeah,
so whether you're buying a home, buying a car, those larger purchases that you might not necessarily have the cash for.
Right.
So you do have to borrow for it. Having a good credit score oftentimes is going to give you a little bit better of an interest rate.
Sure.
It's going to give you more purchasing power.
Yes.
And it's just going to give you that capability to be able to get better rates on insurance.
Mm-hmm.
When you're signing up for cell phone bills, oftentimes they're going to be looking at credit. So those are also things to keep in mind.
Do you find that a lot of businesses are going to run your credit for a lot of things that you might not realize they're running credit for, just to make sure you're qualified for that?
It doesn't necessarily always happen that way. A lot of times they'll have to disclose that they'll be doing that. But a lot of people, they don't understand even if you're not trying to buy a house or you're not trying to buy a car, maybe you're just looking for a place to rent. Mm-hmm. A lot of landlords these days, they're going to go off of your credit score.
They do. And I know a lot of people think that might not be fair for the landlords because a lot of people will pay their bills and they just don't have the credit. They don't have that credit build up. So a lot of benefits of having good credit, and a lot of obviously negatives of not having the best credit. What are the risks of credit? I know I used to always hear you always want to have a little bit on a credit card so that the credit companies can see that and that gives you good credit. Is that a lie?
It's not necessarily a lie, but I do want to go into more of the risks of credit. So as kids, our parents are always trying to make sure that, they any mistake they've ever done, their children don't do. So you often hear, if you don't have the cash, don't buy it.
Right.
It's a good rule of thumb, but when you're ready to buy that home, when you're ready to buy that car, and now you don't have credit because your parents have taught you, if you don't have the cash for it, don't pay for it.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is you can lead into an irresponsible use of credit. Yeah. So really what that is you find that I'm gonna purchase this larger item in the hopes that I'm gonna pay it back in 3 months.
Right.
What happens if you don't have the money? Something else comes up and you kind of have that snowball effect. So one of the major risks is just irresponsible use. Missing your payments, defaulting, bankruptcy. It makes it harder to get credit in the future.
Definitely.
Another one is that temptation and that impulse buying. So it's much easier to buy things that you don't need when you can just swipe that credit card.
Isn't it? It's just so easy. And people fall victim to that all the time. It's just so convenient.
Yep. And another one that a lot of people really don't think about, and it's very prevalent these days, is what we call an installment trap.
Sure.
So you're purchasing something online, and you see those terms for, 4 payments of $30.
Yeah. Yep.
That's going to be ran through your credit, and oftentimes you're going to have multiples of those. If you're someone that's frequently using that, or even getting a Peloton bike and they're doing the Affirm payments.
Sure.
Before you know it, you've got 10 different loans that you're running, and then where's all your money going?
Yeah. I know a lot of people ask that too. Where's all my money going?
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got those credit installment payments, that's where it's going. And the interest that they pay on that too, it all adds up. So you're paying a lot, and that does affect your credit.
It does.
Everything in the end is going to affect that. So lots of risk of credit too. And people will sometimes run their credit score, or somebody, if they're like let's say they're purchasing a vehicle or a home, your credit score gets run because your bank is going to do that right away, and hopefully you're going through your bank to get that done because you're going to usually get a better rate anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if we're looking at that credit score, tell me about that, because I know it runs from way low to over 800, right?
Yeah. So the range of credit scores is going to be anywhere from even as low as 300 all the way up to about 850.
Okay.
And there's at least 5 different categories. So I'll briefly kind of go through those. So you have your poor credit, which is going to be anywhere from 300 to about 579.
Okay.
Fair credit is going to be 580 to 669. Good credit, 670 to 739. And then very good and excellent is anywhere between 740 and 850. And just a little bit of information on those, because a lot of people are like, well, I understand that there's those numbers, but where does everyone fall in this?
Right.
So Experian, they always kind of pull out charts and different bar graphs,
Sure.
And what I tend to look at is 71% of Americans have a good FICO score. So that's that 670 all the way up to that 850. So if you as an individual, you're falling anywhere from that 670 to 850, you're right on track with about everyone else in America.
Okay, so you don't have to be ashamed if you're in the 670s, but you can always make it better.
That's
right?
true. That is very
and
true.
it can always go worse too. What are some of the things that would make your credit score go down?
Yeah, so there's a good amount of different factors that really do affect your score. One of them is going to be payment history, right?
Sure.
How often you're making your payments. Are you making them on time? The other one is amounts owed. A lot of it is all based off of the income that you're providing to that creditor. And now if you are using most of your available income on credit, that's going to have a negative effect on your score.
Okay.
The other thing, length of credit history. This is a big one. Okay. So a lot of times people they'll take a loan out and they'll get it paid off as soon as possible. Well, credit is also based on how long you've had credit, not necessarily how long you're making payments on something, but just how long you've had credit. If you're closing out loans and accounts all the time, you're going to actually lose that credit history, and that can have a negative effect.
And people would think that would be good to pay that loan off early. So some people view that as negative when it comes to credit scores.
Absolutely.
Okay.
As well as new credit. If you're someone that's constantly applying for new credit, that credit. And then also credit mix. And I'd like to kind of dive into credit mix. So there's
credit mix.
Yeah, so there's a couple different things that kind of classify credit. You have your installment loans, which are cars, houses. Think of an installment loan as I borrowed a certain dollar amount and I'm paying it back on a certain time frame.
Okay.
And then there's revolving credit. So revolving credit is those open lines of credit, such as a credit card, where you have a certain dollar amount, you can use some, pay it back, use some, pay it back. It's a revolving door, and that's why it's called revolving credit. So credit mix plays a big role. So let's say you're a first-time home buyer and you're looking to get the best rate. You're looking to not have to have mom or dad co-sign on the loan. You're going to want to look for at least 2 lines of credit. One going to be an installment and one going to be a revolving credit. And make sure that you're making those payments on time. And that's the best part about credit cards, the revolving aspect. You don't have to carry balances. As long as you're paying them back in full every single month, you're not going to pay any interest, but you're getting that payment history.
And I've also heard too that people say with the credit cards, charge a little every month and pay it off every month, because that is good for your credit.
Absolutely. And there's so many credit cards out there that are geared towards, a certain individual. There's a lot of places out there that have ones that you get certain reward points for gas purchases. Just keep that card in your car and charge when you go get gas, fill up and pay it off that month.
And you'll get points. You can get free things off of that. But you have to be careful. You have to monitor that, and you can't go overboard. That's the big thing. A lot of people get into a credit card trap, don't they?
They do. They do. And they put way too much on it. And we get emergencies happen, and that's really what a lot of people use credit cards for is my dog ate a remote. I've got to go take it to the vet. It's not cheap, and a lot of people don't have the cash sitting around for that because they have to pay their bills.
Did that happen to you?
I've had a dog that's eaten some things that we've had to get removed, and firsthand
Love it.
experience, it's not cheap.
Yeah, right, exactly. Vet care, and we love our pets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're gonna do what we have to for it. And like you said, a lot of people don't have that much cash laying around for the vet. Credit card. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so there's lots of different things to know about your credit, folks. And you do have tips for improving your credit and to maintain a good credit score too, right?
Absolutely.
Tell us more.
Yeah. So really, to building credit and to maintaining credit, I say start now.
Okay.
You're never, once you're 18 and over, it's never a bad time to start looking into your credit journey.
Okay.
Another really good tip is just making sure you're making all your payments on time.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Make sure you're making them on time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then also, don't let a creditor tell you how much you can afford. That's all on you.
Okay.
So a lot of times you'll go get, let's say you're getting pre-approved for a home loan,
Right.
and you're just you don't know what it's like. So you're trusting the expert.
Right. And in some cases, that would be you guys.
Yeah, and so yep,
Right.
and we're a creditor is gonna go off of your gross income, which is
Okay.
that's before taxes are taken, and we know that there's a lot of money that gets taken out in taxes.
Mhm.
But then there's also health insurance. There's all kinds of different things that get deducted out of your pay.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, I always say it's what can you afford, and make those payments that way.
So think about it and kind of budget it in. And again, that is another great thing that you guys do at the People's Community Bank.
Mhm.
You're making sure we're not buying too much home, or if you're supplying a loan for vehicles, do you really need a $100,000 vehicle? Because there's $100,000 vehicles that people buy.
Mhm.
So shop smart, right? That's a big thing there.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
And if people are looking for homes or vehicles, should they start with their bank for the money first?
It's always a good idea to start with your bank
Okay.
because we're someone that you can sit down with.
Sure.
We're gonna be open and honest. We're looking out for your best interest. We're
Right.
not looking out to make money off of every Joe Schmo that's out there.
Right.
We want to treat our customers because when we treat our customers well, they're gonna keep coming back to us,
Yeah.
and they're gonna send their family to us.
Exactly. Plus, you probably know a lot of these people too because the communities. We're all in these small communities.
Mhm.
People know everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they're not just customers; they're actually friends and sometimes family members too, right?
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So if somebody out there, let's say their credit is in the 300 or 400s, and they want to build it up, how do you guys work with them to get them a better credit score?
Yeah. So first thing is we need to find what the reason is.
Okay.
Is it there's things out there in collections that maybe they forgot about,
Okay.
or they were told that this got charged off. You don't have to worry about it.
Surprise.
Yeah, it's going to sit there for a while. So really just working with our customers to determine why you have a bad credit score.
Sure.
Finding that underlying reason, fixing that reason, not just putting a Band-Aid on it, but
Yeah.
fixing that, and then slowly helping them work on getting their credit built.
Yeah, it is a lot of different things to think about when you talk about the word credit, and it comes in play in so many aspects of our daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And it can make you money, it can save you money, it can lose you money too, depending on what your credit is, how you use that credit. So do it wisely. If you have questions, do people just stop in at the bank and just ask, hey, let's talk about my credit?
Yeah, they absolutely. I
They
mean,
do, okay.
yeah, I'm your trusted expert.
Okay.
So you come to me, and
Perfect.
I'll certainly go through things with you, and we'll do what we can.
I like that. So if you have any questions, basically talk to somebody you know. Talk to your banker at the People's Community Bank. And how many locations do you have?
We've got 6 locations.
Yeah. Do you know all the locations?
I do. So
Okay.
obviously the best one, Barneveld. That's where I'm from. We've got a location in Arena.
Okay.
We've got a location in Mazomanie,
Sure.
Spring Green, and then Richland Center.
Okay, perfect. So lots of locations to serve you there, folks, at the People's Community Bank. Whether you're looking for a credit journey to increase your credit, maybe you need credit for a purchase, talk to them. You can stop in and talk to Ben. Once again, he's in Barneveld, or see them at any of their 6 locations. And you can find out more too on your website. You guys have a lot of information there about credit and a lot of other things too. It's thepcb.bank. That's the website address, right? Are you
It
guys
is.
on Facebook all over too?
I believe we are, yeah.
Okay, so you can check them out on Facebook too, folks, the People's Community Bank, to find out more. But there's a lot of stuff people don't realize about credit that does affect their daily lives and can affect them down the road too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so get your credit score, know what it is. Do you guys run that for us if we ask you if we're unfamiliar with it, or do you recommend just checking out the credit score sites online?
Yeah, so there is 3 credit bureaus that will
Mhm.
point you to, but we can always help you kind of
Sure.
get into that. But we can't provide those. We just help.
You just help, okay. Because I know, like you said too, if you run your credit or if you're looking at credit and if you're buying something, creditors see that, how many times you look at that credit. But once a year, you can run those 3, and it doesn't affect your credit at all.
That is correct. Yep.
Okay. So that's a lot of stuff to know. If you have any questions about finding out your credit score, how credit can work for you, if you think you have too much credit right now and you need a little help getting that under control, maybe consolidating loans for credit cards. People do that quite often, don't
They do, absolutely.
Because those credit card interest rates can be very, very high.
Mm-hmm.
They can almost make it impossible for some people to keep up.
Yep.
Yeah. So check that out. Maybe write a list of all the bills you owe, what you're paying for it for interest, and then see how it affects your credit. And you know what? Then talk to the folks at the People's Community Bank. They can help you out with your credit journey to get better credit, or maybe help you work toward that purchase of a new vehicle or a new home if that's what you're looking for, because credit does matter with that.
It does.
Perfectly. All your credit answers provided from Ben, Branch Manager in Barneveld at the People's Community Bank. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You bet. And so remember, folks, you can stop in and see them at any of their locations, and you can find out more too, maybe start a conversation from their website, thepcb.bank. Ben, you have a great Friday, because it is Friday. You guys doing anything fun for the weekend?